Hey folks, Erik Barzeski here at Golf Evolution in downtown Erie, Pennsylvania. I wanted to film today mostly for my online Evolvr students, but also for anyone out there that is struggling with this. I've jokingly referred to it in my notes as the ultimate grip video. It's not going to be the ultimate grip video. It's going to be a video that addresses the single most common thing I see in how people grip the club kind of improperly. In a way that I can hopefully convey to you if you're watching this video and I'm not able to put my hands on you and put your hands on the club the way that I prefer. To jump right to it, the average golfer tends to grip the club too much in the palm. And while you can play successful golf and while there are PGA Tour players who grip the club up in the palm, it's generally better, in my opinion, to grip the club a little bit more in the fingers, or a lot more in the fingers in some cases, than a lot of people grip the club. Okay, so today's video is going to show you how to kind of grip the club, again, in my opinion, the more proper way or the more versatile way or the more correct way, where you have less compensations and you're less likely to do things that can get you into trouble, okay? So when I see people come to me for a lesson, I'll ask them to show me how they grip the club, and they'll go something like this, and you know, they'll put the club on the ground and put their hand on and do their grip, and you know, whatever it is, and then I'll have them freeze, and I'll say, okay, take your right hand off, or your trail hand, okay? I'll use right and left-handed terms for a righty, so if you're a lefty, go ahead and flip them in your mind, but I'll have them take their trail hand off, or the right hand off, and then I'll turn their hand over and have them open up their hand, and it'll look like this. And that wouldn't be a terrible one. I'll see grips up here like this, where they have a wear mark all the way up here on their glove, and the grip is almost rubbing against like a watch band if that's what they're wearing. So I'll see people grip the club, you know, like this up here with their arms, and I have them open it up and it's like this, right? It's barely even touching the finger of their index finger or pointer finger, and it's all the way across their palm like that. Then what I'll often do is I'll hold it up and I'll say, okay, with your left hand, pull it like it's a lever, and what they'll do is they'll go like this and they'll pull like it's a lever, and what they'll end up doing, I'll open up their hand and it's like this, because that's how you pull like a lever, like that. I'll put the club in their hands with the skinny end, the shaft end, and I'll say, pretend we're going to have a sword fight, and I'll open it up and it's like that. I'll have them pick up their golf bag or a briefcase or a bucket of balls, and they'll grip it the same way, just like this, right across the base of the fingers, like that, okay? If I tell them that they're going to have a sword fight where they grip it here, they instantly feel like that's a terrible way to grip the club, okay? So I tell people jokingly that they have a free training aid in every club right here for their grip, because when you pick this up, you naturally kind of put it in your hands like that, down in your fingers, okay? Whether right or left-handed, you're going to put it generally in the fingers of your hand, because that's where you have control over it. Your fingers can curl around a lot better than your palm can kind of squeeze the thing this way, right? This is not a successful way to grip the club, generally speaking. This, it turns out, can be a very successful way to grip the club, okay? So there are some problems with gripping the club in the palm, okay? If I grip the club very much in the palm, okay, my range of motion in one of the directions that we like to use the golf club, which is hinging, is limited to about this, okay? This is about all I've got, okay? If I try to force it up there, that's all I have. If I go into the fingers, okay, and I'll exaggerate a little bit, now I can hinge the club quite a bit more, right? I have a lot more range of motion in that left wrist to move the club this way. Another problem is if I go in the palm, as you can see there, if I add palm reflection and extension, that moves the club in the same direction as moving my whole arm back and forth, okay? Whereas if I go in the fingers, palm reflection and extension twists the club, while moving my arm moves the club this way. So I have what I call another degree of freedom, right? I can twist the club rather than just having it in the palm and moving the club this way and that way by palm reflection and extension, okay? So we get more range of motion and we get another degree of freedom. We can twist the club, which can help us square the face up as well when it's a little bit more in the fingers, okay? Why do people tend to grip it in the palms? The grip is thicker, than most tools. Again, when I instantly put it down here in the shaft, people instinctively grab it more in the fingers. And because of the way our arms hang down. Our arms hang down like this at setup, and so the club's on the ground. It makes sense for our fingers to kind of angle down the shaft because that's how our arms hang down, okay? And so it generally forces your forearms to be a little bit too much in line with the shaft. You can see from this view that those are kind of in line with the shaft, rather than where I like it in the fingers, it would tend to be more down like that, okay? So my fingers, you'll see I like the opposite of those two things. Rather than the fingers down the shaft, I like the fingers to be almost across the shaft like that, not down the shaft like this, but across the shaft. And so at first, if you try to do this way, it feels a little awkward. You're doing something weird with your left shoulder. You're kind of sticking it out that way. But you can grip it across the fingers. And then from the down the line view, you'll see a sharper angle here rather than here when it's in the palm. Okay, you'll see a sharper angle when I grip it in the fingers more, like that. So my arms can hang down, and yet I have a sharper angle here. It's not as much in line there, okay? Okay, so what are the signs kind of a palmy grip? Obviously, you can just take the club and open it up, and if you see it up here, it's in the palm, right? You can see where the club is going across your hand. Another sign, another obvious sign that I see a lot of the times is a wear mark way up here on this person's glove. I don't wear a glove, so I don't really have one to show you, but way up here on the heel pad. And for terminology's sake, I'm going to call this the heel pad and this the thumb pad. We won't really talk too much about this in the golf grip, but if I say heel pad, I mean the pinky side pad here near the heel of your hand, okay? I don't mean the thumb pad so much, I mean here. So you can see a wear mark on a person's glove. Obviously, if you just open up the grip, you can see it way up there. One of the ones I see, and I'm going to grip down so you can see this pretty clearly. If you're watching yourself on video, you'll see when the person gets here, the knuckles on my hand are going very much that way, while the grip is coming out this way. So the grip is coming out very close to my wrist or very close to my watch band, okay? And if I grip the club in the fingers more so, okay, when I get to that part of the golf swing, you'll see my knuckles are a little bit more parallel to the shaft, okay? And I have some space between my wrist and that thing. Even if I haven't hinged the club up as much, my knuckles are still more parallel to that than they are when it's in the palm like that, okay? So that's one of the signs that I see oftentimes on video. I'll see the butt of the person's club coming out very close to the wrist with these knuckles angled this way and the shaft angled that way, okay? So I see that a lot of the times on video, okay? So that's some of the ways that you can see. If you're recording yourself from face on, as you kind of should be oftentimes if you're working on your golf swing, and you see yourself swinging back here and you see the butt of the club peeking out close to your wrist, that's a sign that you possibly or probably have the club going across the palm of your hand, okay? It has nothing to do with weak or strong, okay? Let's be clear about that, because I can grip the club in the fingers, I'll grip down again, in a way that puts my hand on the club kind of weakly, right? You can see that from face on, that's a pretty weak grip, and yet from face on, right, again, still some angle there, still pretty much there. Or I can go in a way that puts my hand on really pretty strongly here, and again, more parallel than they are anything else, and still some space in there. Okay, so it doesn't have a whole lot to do with really strong or really weak grip, because the grip is round, and so your fingers can go on that pretty much any way around the grip to get weak or strong, but they can still stay in the fingers, okay? So how do we take a proper grip? Okay, I've said the word fingers 500 times, so that's a clue, okay? We're gonna grip the club in the fingers. And it's a little tougher at first when the club's on the ground because our arms hang down and our fingers wanna go down the shaft. And so at first, it's almost like you have to do like this weird shoulder thing like I did earlier, where you almost have to go like this to try to get the club on there. I'll teach beginners oftentimes to hold the club up in the air just a bit, okay? So I'll show you this way first. So I hold the club up in the air. That way your fingers, as you can see, can go across the grip, not down the grip, okay? And you can put your fingers on. You can curl the fingers around. I like to do this in 3 steps. the first step is I put the fingers on and curl them around, okay? So I just get to that, right? The fingers are curled around the grip, okay? Then I like to really wrap this heel pad around next. So you can see I'm going to wrap that heel pad around next. My thumb hasn't even gone down yet. One of the mistakes people will make is they'll almost put their thumb down, and you can see how that's going to slide my hand down from this view here. I'll do it again. It's going to slide my hand down, and when I open it up, it's right in the palm again. Okay, so I wrap my fingers around, I stretch this heel pad around, okay, like that. Really get a lot of this on top of the club, and then when I'm holding it up in the air, I can slide my right hand down and put that on, and I'm pretty much there, okay? One thing about the right hand, I like the left thumb to come out of the middle of this wrist, so right there, not like that, out of the bottom of the, almost in the heel pad. I like it to come out of that middle of the wrist. It fits in there pretty well, okay? So there, and that right hand, whether you slide it down or put it on, can go there. Okay, so to repeat again, in the air, you can go across the fingers, okay? Curl those, wrap the heel pad over, okay? Wrap the heel pad over, and then slide the right hand down. Whether you interlock, overlap, or do 10-finger or baseball, that process kind of works, okay? What you'll notice is that it has stayed tight into that pinky finger the whole time, okay? Again, where people get into trouble is they'll do the finger part first, and then they'll let it slide out, and they'll lose that connection. There's a gap in there, okay? On the ground, which is how a lot of players do it. I won't be teaching you the Adam Scott way, which is to hold it like this, but you can see that way gets the hand going across the grip rather than down the grip like that. On the ground, a lot of players will do this. They'll do some version of, set the club down, and what they're doing is they're attaching rather than to the side of the grip, which is where you have to do the awkward shoulder thing, they'll attach to the bottom, okay? I call it attach, it's just where you touch first. To attach on the bottom, you actually have to go further out into the fingers because when you wrap around, that puts your hands further up this way. If I attach to the base of my fingers on the bottom of the club, I would have a really weak grip, okay? So I find that I have to attach almost out to that first, this joint, right? Almost out to that segment of my fingers. I curl, I wrap this over, and then I can put that right hand down, okay? And what you'll notice is I'm really mostly focusing on, I can do it like this, where it's just into the pinky, and I just wrap that over, okay? Because that's the part I care about. I want it to be seated kind of deep into that pinky finger. It's where it gets up off the pinky finger that we get up into the palm. So if it stays in the pinky finger, and I go like that, and I'm almost pushing down a little bit, I can push down from here or push down from here to keep it into the pinky finger, okay? So I stretch that over, put the right hand on, and you can see then I've got a pretty good grip that even if I open up, it's in the fingers there, okay? So again, the 3 steps, whether it's in the air or on the ground, would be to attach it in the fingers. If it's in the air, it'll be a little bit more on the base of the fingers. If it's on the ground, it'll tend to be a little bit more out into the fingers a little bit because when you curl up, it'll wrap around a little bit more, okay? Wrap this heel pad over, almost stretch it out. Sometimes in lessons, I'll say it's like saran wrap. You're trying to almost stretch it out. You're not trying to just kind of wrap it over loosely. You don't just throw saran wrap like over the bowl. You kind of stretch it out and really pull it over like that. So you're almost trying to do that there. And then that right hand goes on where it fits just like that, okay? Right into that left thumb, right under the thumb pad. That's the one time I'll mention the thumb pad. Okay, your left thumb fits right under that right thumb pad, like that, okay? That gets the traditionally neutral grip where both V's are pointing about here, right, on both hands. You see 2 knuckles, maybe barely this one. If you want to go a little stronger, you can wrap a little bit further up the side, right, and go a little bit stronger grip. If you want to go a little bit weaker, you can wrap a little bit more under and be a little bit weaker grip, okay? So you can do strong, weak, neutral, all with these same procedures, as long as it stays in the fingers, okay? So now, there are some caveats to this, okay? You kind of have to figure, like I've been saying, where to grip the club, okay? If I grip on the ground, but put it way out here, too far out, right, in one joint away, when I curl my fingers and wrap this around, obviously that's going to be way too strong, okay? At the same time, if I grip on the ground in the base of the fingers, curl and wrap, that's probably going to end up being way too weak, okay? So you can still get off with your grip. It's in the fingers, as you can see, okay? But it's not quite, you know, probably a strong enough grip for you there, okay? And like I said earlier in the video, even if you do this part right, when you go to wrap this part around, one of the things you can do, this camera should show it pretty well, is almost slide and put your thumb down too early, because you can see there, that's off the finger, off the pinky finger and up into the palm a little bit. So you want to be careful that as you're stretching this over, it stays really tight along here into the pinky finger, okay, and wraps up there, okay? Everyone's probably seen the Ben Hogan thing where he does this. That makes it look like that pinky finger is exposed, but really that's just showing you how much of this part of the hand he's wrapped over the top of the club. If you actually had Ben Hogan like open up his hand like that, you could see he'd almost still be able to like clap a little bit because it's in the fingers enough, okay? And Hogan had a palmier grip than most, and Tiger Woods did for a while. Again, you can play good golf with a palmy grip. Generally not recommended. You don't have 8 hours a day to work on your golf game, so you have a little bit less compensations and time to make those compensations. So in the fingers, wrap that over, right? You'll see this, you know, fleshy heel pad kind of squished here. I don't want it to be smashed against the side. I want it to be squished on top there, okay? So those are the two caveats. Make sure you attach it in the right place, and then when you set the thumb down, don't just slide the whole hand down, okay? Last thing I'll say, okay, this is gonna feel strange for a while. It's going to feel odd. It has to, right? It's gonna be different. Change is different, right? If it doesn't feel different, if it doesn't feel weird for a while, you're probably not making enough of a change, okay? So if you are someone who grips it in the palm, it's gonna feel weird. Carry around a 1/2-inch piece of PVC pipe. It's about the same thickness as right about here on the grip. You can carry that around and get used to like gripping that in the fingers, right? It might change your setup because it might go from this to a little bit more angle here. It's gonna feel a little different. That's okay. Everything you do to improve your golf game probably feels weird for a while. And so roll with it, you know? Change is good. You wanna change it, you wanna make it better. It's gonna feel different for a while. Different is fine, okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you get the grip further into the fingers. You almost can't go too far into the fingers because the club will start falling out of your hand, okay? Nobody's gonna let that happen during a golf swing, so you almost can't overdo this unless you have just massive hands or something. So go ahead, get it in the fingers, and you'll play better golf. Thanks.